Hello guys, welcome back. This is Abhi here. In the previous video, we talked about the formation of Judaism and the temples and what Zionism is. If you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend you watch it. Let's get started. December 1920. Alright. So while all the drama was unfolding, the Palestinian Arabs weren't sitting idle. They decided to hold their very own Congress in Haifa. It's like a big meeting where they say, we need a team to represent us. So they created this Arab executive, which is basically the crew to watch their thoughts and wishes. Now let's flip the script and talk about the Jewish side of things. Between 1919 and 1921, guess how many Jewish immigrants showed up in Palestine? More than 18,000. It's like the whole neighborhoods changing, new faces everywhere. But that's not all. The Jewish folks start getting into real estate. They're like, we want some land here, a property shopping spree, and they are building their dreams one piece of land at a time. May 1, 1921. Okay, brace yourselves because things are about to get intense. We are talking about some no-nonsense anti-Zionist riots that erupted in Jaffa. But guess what? These riots decided they wanted to go on a road trip and ended up visiting Petah Tikva and other Jewish communities. It's like a real world tour. And you won't believe it, nearly 100 people were caught up in this chaos and unfortunately got killed. June 1922. Here's where the British government throws up a curveball. They're like, hey, we don't want the whole of Palestine to turn into a Jewish national home, but we all in for creating one right here. Now, the British start doing some party control. They're like bouncers at a nightclub. On one hand, they're holding the door, saying, sorry folks, no Jewish entry allowed. And on the other hand, they are watching out for those sneaky party crashers who try to sneak in. It's like a real life game of hide and seek, but with international stakes. 1933. Here's where the plot thickens. So in 1933, there's a big shift in Germany. The Nazis take control and things get pretty tough for Jews across Central and Eastern Europe. It's like a wake-up call for Jewish immigration. And guess what? It skyrockets to 30,000 in 1933, 42,000 in 1934, and a whooping 61,000 in 1935. But by 1936, Palestine is looking like a whole different place. The Jewish population has shot up to nearly 400,000, which is like 1/3 of the whole gang. Now, the Arab community in Palestine is growing too, but they're doing it the old-fashioned way, through natural population growth. Of course, some folks from outside the region are also drawn in by the buzz created by Middle East Jewish immigrants and British public works. It's like everyone's looking for their piece of the pie in this changing landscape. November 1935. Fast forward to November 1935 and things get even more interesting. The Arab political parties decide it's time to speak up in unison. They're like, hey, enough is enough. So they put their collective foot down and demand that Jewish immigration hits the brakes. They're also saying no more land transfers and let's have some real democratic institutions around here. But that's not all. They go all out and declare a full blown boycott. It's like a battle cry no more Zionist and British goods. It's a real showdown in the making. This is the most important part, the Arab Revolt. Let's zoom in. It's 1936. This was a game changer. The Arab Revolt, a real roller coaster of a time. It's the first time in over a century that Palestinian Arabs go all in with a sustained violent upspring. People from all walks of life get in on the action, and nationalistic passion is set on fire through newspapers, schools, and literary circles. The British were pretty caught off guard by the scale and intensity of this revolt. So they are like, time to call in the troops. Over 20,000 of them make their way to Palestine. On the flip side, the Zionists aren't sitting around either. They got more than 15,000 Jews all geared up in their own nationalist movement. Now fast forward to 1936 and the tragic murder of two Jewish ramps. Things up big time. The Arab political parties decide it's time for some heavy artillery. So they form an Arab Higher Committee led by the Mufti of Jerusalem, Amin al-Husseini. He goes all in, calls for strikes, refusing to pay taxes and even shutting down the municipal governments. And then comes the laundry list of demands: stop Jewish immigration, ban land sales to Jews, and let's stop national independence. As if that wasn't enough, the rebels, along with some backup from neighbor Arab countries, head for the hills. They're taking on Jewish settlements and even the British installations, especially up in the north part of the country. It's a real turning point in the history of Palestine. That's it for today from my side. See you tomorrow. Jai Hind.